And is everybody on? I mean, is people coming on? Let's see.
Yeah, we have 78 attendees, 80 attendees already.
Okay. I mean, are they, let's just, I'm going to go to the chat screen here. Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out where the chat screen is on mine, because when I share my screen, it disappeared. So Jill, can you see your chat screen?
Yes, and everyone on there is saying that they can see us and see the screen and hear us fine.
Okay, so then we're ready to start. So we've got all the participants. The only thing I would ask you, Jill, is to, if you can take the questions, because while I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. So I'm going to ask you to just grab the questions, and we can go from there if anybody has anything. So I'd like to welcome everybody here to the Air Force Synthetic Biology Manufacturing Challenge question and answer session. And with that, I would like to introduce the setup here is, this is our agenda for today. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Rajesh Naik, who is the AFRL Chief Scientist and the proponent of this whole challenge. Dr. Naik.
Thanks, Bob. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for expressing your interest in attending the session on the Biotech Grant Challenges. Hope you all are staying safe and healthy during this pandemic. We are excited about kicking off one of our first of our three biotech AFRL Biotech Challenges that we seek to provide leap ahead advancements for the Air Force in the realm of biotech. I'm Rajesh Naik, and I serve as the Chief Scientist of the 711th Human Performance Wing here at AFRL, and I also lead the AFRL Biotechnology portfolio. This challenge that you're going to hear about today is the first of $3 million biotechnology challenges that the Air Force Research Lab is sponsoring. We recognize the potential that exists in the biotechnology space and feel that this is the right time for us to step up and push some capabilities towards Air Force and DoD needs. As you all are aware, biotech is advancing at a rapid pace, and it's impacting several key sectors. From the current COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen how the biotech ecosystem is rapidly responding to the current crisis and providing solution that's coming from academia, industry, and non-traditionals. Through these biotech challenges, we seek to partner with the best solution provider to address specific Air Force challenges where biotechnology can provide unique solutions. We also want to use this as a way to open up opportunities for us to build relationships with partners willing to work with the Air Force and the DoD. And we seek to build capabilities that can support national security interests. We are here today to answer any questions you might have of the process, the players, and the problem itself. To accomplish this task, we brought together a team here today. Sean Mahoney, who is an ensign representative, also representing the Air Force Small Business Office that has provided funds to support these challenges. Chris Levitt of Ensign, who will walk us through the website and the submission process. Bob Lee from Wright Brothers Institute, who has been shepherding this process, the website and the submission process as well, and the logistics. Joe McQuaid, who is my program manager for the biotech portfolio, along with Claretta Sullivan, who could not make it today. David Simone is the author of the challenge problem, and Manish Gupta will be one of the reviewers for the challenge. And we hope that you will be able to understand the process, what the challenge is about. Please ask questions as they arise. And we want to make sure you understand what is it that we're looking for. Once following these sessions, we will be publishing all the questions that have been asked as an FAQ on the website. And thank you for joining, and we welcome the opportunity to work with you. In addition, please do look forward to the other two challenges that will be released in the upcoming months. Over.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dyke. Okay, now I'd like to switch this over to David Simone. He's leading the design challenge, and so I'm going to open up with his opening screen. So David, you're on mute there.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. And I'm David Simone. I work in the Polymer Matrix Composites research team, and I'm going to introduce today the challenge problem, which is the biosynthesis of monomers for aerospace composites. We are focusing on two target molecules, A and B, which we'll get into more detail in the next few slides. Next slide, please. So molecule A, which is also known as phenylethyl capped phthalic anhydride, is our target, also known as PEPA. Some of the background is in synthesizing thermoset polyimides, we use diamines, dianhydrides, and an end capping agent. That's a typical combination of those three components. And the end capping agent acts to cross-link the polyimide. So PEPA is an end capping agent, and that's one of our targets for this challenge. The motivation is that in PEPA being synthesized in two steps. The first step is taking phthalic anhydride and then halogenating phthalic anhydride in the 4 position with either bromine or iodine. Halogenating agents like bromine are corrosive and toxic, so we're looking to move away from using those types of reagents, as well as during this process we form not only the target 4 position halogenated product, but also the 3. So you get multiple isomers forming. So we are looking for paths where we can biosynthesize targets that not only eliminate the corrosive reagent, but also provide us with the regio-specific aspect as well. One other point is that during these types of syntheses, we end up with a lot of ions that are trapped in the products, and that's not a good thing from a corrosion aspect in aerospace composites. So that's step 1. Next slide, please. So the second step in synthesizing molecule A in a conventional sense is an organometallic coupling called the Sonogashira reaction. And that's taking our halogenated product from the first step and then coupling that with another molecule called ethynylbenzene. Sonogashira reaction requires the use of expensive transition metal catalysts like palladium, as well as the use of other transition metals like copper or iodide. And so as part of the second step, what we would like to eliminate is the use of those expensive catalysts, especially nowadays where the cost of palladium has risen well above the cost of gold. Second step is to eliminate residual transition metal impurities in the product molecule A, as those transition metal impurities tend to catalyze the decomposition of our cured polyimides, which are made from the PEPA end capper. Okay, so next slide, please. So really quick summary. This is target molecule A, PEPA, and really our biosynthetic path needs to address the concerns in the first 2 steps from the conventional synthesis of PEPA. The first is the regioselectivity question. We'd like to have the phenylethynyl group on the 4th position of that molecule. We want to use paths that eliminate environmental impact, eliminate the use of precious metal catalysts, and produce products that have trace amounts of transition metal impurities, less than 10 ppm as a guide. The other aspect is it would be nice to have also low levels of ionic impurities like sodium, potassium, bromine, chlorine. All right, so that completes the technical discussion and the needs around molecule A, our first target. On the next slide, we'll introduce you to our second target, molecule B. And so the background for this molecule is that the molecule B is a precursor for a helically chiral molecule known as a helicene. And we're interested in helicenes as they're being considered as molecular sensors. And so if you look at the motivation, at the synthesis of molecule B, it really arises from the use of the halophthalic anhydrides that we discussed for the synthesis of molecule A. So the same issues really exist for both syntheses of target molecule A and target molecule B. The only difference is that target molecule B is made through a Heck reaction, which involves palladium catalysis, so precious metals, doesn't require the use of other transition metals, and then uses divinyl benzene as the second reactant. So again, biosynthetic pathway is sought for molecule B that pretty much avoids the pitfalls that we've seen with molecule A. So we require the same regioselectivity requirements, the environmental impact limitations of using corrosive reagents to make the starting material, that bromophthalic anhydride, and of course eliminating the precious metal component to the synthesis as well as the ionic impurities. Okay, so that's summary for target molecule B. You can see there's a lot of similarity in terms of the needs in the synthetic equivalent of this reaction. Next slide, please. Great. So the reaction schemes that we've outlined here are really solely for guidance to an existing commercial or proposed route to the target compounds by conventional methods. It by no means is the only possible way to make these molecules. So I do not want to limit proposers to what I've outlined in the prior slides. And again, it's up to the proposer to define the most relevant starting materials, but we're really looking for practical syntheses, efficient, scalable syntheses. And I could stop here, Bob, if you'd like, and if we're going to talk more about the details of the contracting and so on, I can stop at this point.
We have a lot of questions about whether or not these slides will be available. Is there any reason we can not can we post those on the website?
No, I think everything's been publicly cleared, so
Yeah.
I think there's no reason why we can't post all of these slides up after the question and answer session today.
Okay.
All the content comes from cleared documents, yes.
Okay. I assume
David,
that's the case.
I put your slides in the same order that you had sent them to me, so if you wanted to just continue on, then I'll
Okay.
pick up from where you had left off.
So really, yeah, so the project deliverables for the white paper, this is a 4 to 6 page limit. Really, I've just taken them out of our original document and summarized them here. Really, the important aspects of that white paper is to describe the organisms or proposed process to make those molecules, details on equipment and expertise, because we're really looking for somewhat mature process to create molecules A and B, and whether or not we could synthesize these within a 3-month window. A cost to biosynthesize 1 gram of each target molecule A and B, and what kind of team and outside manufacturing plant would be required to make molecules A and B and scale it up to about 100 gram per day volume. Okay. Right, so the prize award, really, submissions are evaluated in the solution section of the actual solicitation. If the team here judges that the solutions are not viable, then no prizes will be awarded. But if we do see that there is promising white papers from the submissions, then the winner will receive half of the prize money to demonstrate the ability to synthesize the molecules, and another third to synthesize 1 gram of each with confirmed purity, which is outlined in the solicitation very clearly in terms of characterization methods to confirm purity. And you'll receive a reduced amount if you only synthesize one or the other, okay? Ultimately, the final 1/6 of the prize will be awarded when you complete entire cost analysis showing advantages of the biosynthetic process over the conventional processes for synthesizing these molecules to that 100 gram per day scale up quantity. Next slide, please. And here is the schedule, I guess, from the solicitation. So we're clearly at the kickoff meeting on the 23rd, and you can see here that we have, assuming what the window is for white paper submission and some of the decision-making points along the way. Okay.
Okay, thank you, David. And
You're
then
welcome.
just to give a little bit of a background, I know that everybody's familiar with the Air Force Research Lab, and not everybody's familiar with the Wright Brothers Institute. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a background and talk to you a little bit about it. Wright Brothers Institute is a not-for-profit that was founded in 2002 from the Air Force Research Laboratory, and basically is here to help try to do some of these out-of-the-box type kind of environments. According to the prize authority given to DoD, we have to work through a nonprofit to be able to award prizes. And so as you notice, this is not a traditional contract. This is going to be a prize award that's going to be given down. As such, that opens up a lot of possibilities for us and allows you to be able to do. We were the first institute that was awarded the first Air Force Partnership Intermediary Agreement. And under that agreement, we can actually help as to be a connector between the community and the Air Force Research Lab. Okay, as David overviewed on this whole kind of thing, on the scale as to what's going to be required for the things, I just wanted to clarify one little thing. You can provide cost estimates for this whole project up to a $1 million limit. So if you wanted to propose something for half of that, that's fine. If you wanted to propose something for 3/4 of it, that's fine. It depends upon all of what you think it's going to take to be able to do this, to meet the requirement there. The way that the award process will go is as soon as the final pitch day. So if you took a look at the slide that David had set up there, there is you're going to be given a 2-month window to come up with the concept and the white papers. Once those white papers will be down selected to a few that we consider viable, and those viable ones will then be given a 2-week window to be able to team with a US company to be able to create a pitch to the panelists, to the review, the government evaluation team, and that pitch will then be the basis for which the team will decide which one will ultimately win the award. Once you are selected as the award winner, we can provide you 1/2 of the funds up front. So you'll have half of the prize money right off the bat that'll come in there. You will it'll be issued to you on a purchase order. That purchase order will then invoice back to me, and we can have that check to you usually within a week. So it's not like a normal government process. We can actually, so companies don't have to put up a lot of capital up front. Okay, we really want to encourage people to be able to get on board. Once you actually deliver that 1 gram of each of the compounds that David talked about, AFRL will then test it for the purity test. And essentially, if you're given 1, you'll get another 6 of the prize. If you get number 2, you give another 6 of the prize. And then the final prize will be given back when the final report is presented. One of the things that we do require on this is the use of government intellectual property, or the government purpose rights. You will own the intellectual property for it, but the government will seek government purpose rights. The purpose for that is just in case the company goes out of business, we think this is valuable. We still want to be able to produce these things for the Air Force to be able to do it. So that's the condition of what it is. And essentially what a government purpose rights is if you're not familiar with it, it's the same thing you would get under a SBIR or an STTR contract. It's the same kind of a contractual agreement that you would be exercising here under those. With that, I want to turn the this screen on over to Chris Levitt. Chris Levitt is with the Defense Innovation Network, and he's going to share all submissions are going to go in through this website that he'll be demonstrating here. So Chris, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to give it to you over to you to see if you can bring up the website.
Sounds great. Good morning, everyone. I am Chris Levitt. I am a program manager with the National Security Innovation Network. A big part of what I do here is I manage what we call the DIN, our Defense Innovation Network, which is where this challenge lives. I gotta tell you, we're very excited for this challenge. And honestly, my big reason for being here is to help you all navigate the submission process. So with that, I will begin sharing my screen and kind of show you how it all works for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Bob, if you can give me a thumbs up that you can see that.
Yes, we can.
Thank
Thumbs
you
up.
very much. So this is our homepage of the Defense Innovation Network. The challenge lives within here. Just a brief overview, the DIN, as we call it, was built as a series of communities in which there are some challenges. These communities are all built around the DoD, different functions, different topic areas. So in order to navigate to the challenge, we can do it in one of two ways. You can go directly to the challenge by typing in innovatedefense.net/AFRL-challenge, and that will take you to this sign up landing page. The other option is to navigate to our DoD innovation portal, and then you scroll down the page here, and you will see the challenge right here. So when you first hit the site, you will need to create an account. Very simple process. Click this button. You'll enter your email address and a password. You will then need to check that email address, which will allow you to validate your account. At that point, you can return to the site and log in. And when you log in, you will see this page. So this is the challenge site. As you see, we have a couple of highlights here that have some additional information for you. This one links to the Eventbrite page that you've all seen. We also have a challenge information page and then just some additional info. Below that is what we call the activity space. This is where you will submit your proposals, your white papers. Very simple process. We've built this site to be as quick and easy to use as possible. So once you're registered, you can click Add Submission. And when you do that, you can very simply add a title for your submission. You can add some supporting details here, including if you have any images, outside links, or you need to embed a video, you can do that here as well. And then below that, you'll see upload a document. So here you can click and you can upload your white paper, your proposal. And if that does include a slide deck or a video or anything else, you can do that as well right here. The upload limit is 25 megabytes, just something to keep in mind. That is 25 megabytes per individual item you are uploading. So if you do have a larger quantity and then need to be broken out into separate uploads, that's fine. Our site will handle that with no problem. Then you can add an image to your site, to your submission as well. This is just a way to kind of spice it up a little bit, make you stand out a little bit more. So I would definitely encourage you all to add an image when you are uploading your proposal. And finally, you click Submit. And once you click Submit, your card will appear right down here. Just a little bit of background on the site. We have built this thing to run some challenges specifically for the DoD. So often we'll have, say, the US Marine Corps will approach us and they'll have a problem that faces the fleet. And they will ask for Marines to submit ways to address the problem. A big thing to keep in mind here is that anything that's posted is visible by everyone else who is a member of this challenge. So while some may view that as a negative, we actually think it's quite a positive. This allows for interaction and immediate back and forth with the panelists, with others who may have questions about your proposal. One thing to keep in mind with that is that there's no reason to give away your intellectual property when you're submitting here. What you really need to do is just be able to convey your approach and do that in such a way where you don't actually give away kind of the secret sauce, if you will. But that's really it. It's a very simple process to submit here. And at this time, I'll go ahead and take any questions if there are any.
I don't think we have any for you specifically, Chris. When we move on, I'll throw out the rest of the questions for everyone else.
Sounds good. Well, folks, I am here. If there are any questions, I'll be monitoring the question and answer chat here. So just if you have anything for me, just go ahead and post it there and I'll respond. But thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I think that there was one question that came in here. Let me see if I can find it. It says the first milestone will be 1 gram. What would be the ultimate scale of production that you're looking at?
Right, so I think in the solicitation, it says 100 grams per day. Let's say 100 grams. But that's a plan to get to that level.
All right, I would want to clarify that at the end of this challenge, all you have to do is have a plan to how to scale it up. It's just a report that's going to be done. There's no, the scale pass, that doesn't have to be done, but it has to be a report that says, okay, based on what we learned on how to produce this material, how would I scale up? What's the advantages? What would that be? And that will go back. Now this, although the Air Force can't guarantee that there is any prizes, there's a lot of government interest in this particular area. And so I think if we can become successful, there may be follow-on opportunities that we'll try to connect you to. Yeah, there's definitely SIBR and SITR for both businesses and industry to be able to advance this farther. I see there's another question. It says, for the cost analysis, do you need to have a scale up proven, run batches, etc.?
No, no. The targets are 1 gram each of A and B with a plan to create 100 grams of both targets.
And then there is also a question of what the process is for, I'm trying to find it again because everything moved really fast. The purity, and I think is that in your proposal?
So yeah, to clarify the purity aspect, the proposer,
There it is.
once synthesizing 1 gram of each A and B, should analyze the materials for purity. The Air Force will do a side-by-side comparison test to confirm that purity. And so all the techniques required are actually in the solicitation.
Okay, we have another question that says, is this call open to international applicants or are the prizes restricted to US applicants only? And if you want me to answer that for you guys on the panelists, I think the answer to that is it is open to all international applicants. The only thing is that the scale up has to be done collaborated with a US company.
That's correct, Bob. Just to reemphasize, if you have an idea from an international partner, we would like to see within the white paper or during the pitch day presentation your U.S. partner on that submission, and because we have to see a path to producing this molecule within the United States. Over.
Okay, we have another question on, can you please elaborate on any US export control restrictions?
There are none. On the compounds themselves, no.
Okay. Let's see, what's the next one?
There was one about a 3-month time frame. And I think that, I don't know if we accidentally left something in that made it look like 3 months, but the
Right.
actual time frame is a year from start to finish. If you look at that timeline that David posted, it shows from start to finish, it's a year.
Right.
Okay, there's another question here for Chris. It says on the NINSIN website indicates that my account approval is pending. As a result, I can't see any of the details about the challenge. So could you elaborate what it takes to get the approval?
Yep, Mr. Valentine, I'm actually looking into your account as we speak, and it looks like you have not actually requested access for the challenge itself. I'm going to go ahead and add you manually, so you should be able to access it in just a few minutes here.
Okay, so if there's a clarification on the process, you have to request access to the challenge itself.
That's right. And if you run into any issues with that, feel free to, you can email me directly. There is a link on every one of our pages on the Defense Innovation Network. At the very bottom, you'll see basically a need help, click to contact support. Those emails will come to me as well as my team here, and I'll be able to address that, whatever issues you may be having.
Okay, then the next question that we have is, are your objectives to have a one-step biosynthetic process or a mixed biological chemical process is also responsive?
I say we're open to what the proposers provide. So, but you should target biosynthesis. You should target some of the drawbacks of the existing syntheses and resolve them.
I see another one. It says, can you post the direct link to the chat? I'm logged in, but can't see the solicitation.
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure I understand that. The chat's going on right now in Zoom. Okay, but the solicitation itself is over on the Defense Innovation Network that Chris talked about.
There's also a question that says, can you define exactly what do you mean by biosynthesis? We want you to use a biological method to make the molecule of interest, right? So you're using an engineered microorganism with an engineered pathway to make the molecule or precursors to the molecule. David?
I agree. Nothing more to add to that.
I don't see any more questions at this point. I'm going to go back and check up and see if there was some earlier questions.
So Bob, there's a question, are there restrictions on what can be purchased on these funds? Equipment purchases allowed?
Yes. There's really, once the money goes over to the company, if they win the successful bid on it, that money goes over as a purchase order to them, and they can use it however they need just to be able to produce whatever those 1 gram molecules.
And then I see a question is, can the proposals be submitted by consortium company and university? Absolutely, and we encourage those kind of relationships and partnerships because we're looking for scale up and not just a bench level demonstration.
Bob, there are 2 questions, one about cell-free synthetic biology and bioconversion. I would say that both of those are potentially acceptable. The main thing would be to, as David Simone mentioned, to address some of the drawbacks of the current synthetic technique. So as long as the technique you're using addresses those drawbacks, cell-free or bioconversion would be acceptable.
Okay, and then there's another question. Go ahead. There's another question.
Additionally, if you are using one of those techniques, that it has the potential for scale.
It's breaking up there.
Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to do. Does that mean we? I don't know. Okay.
Roman, if you can type a message in the chat if you have a question.
So Bob, there's another question that says, is there a list of US companies we could approach as potential project partners?
One of the things that Chris is setting up on the site is that we're going to try to put out some potential customer or potential companies out there, but we're also asking the companies to see if they can put out their information on the collaboration part of the Defense Innovation Network. Chris, could you elaborate a little bit about what that looks like?
I apologize, Bob. Could you repeat that question for me?
The question was is that people want to find out how they can connect with some U.S. companies. And so we've got a collaboration part on the Defense Innovation Network where companies can put up what their capabilities are. And we sent this solicitation out to, I think, over hundreds of companies. So hopefully they will start sharing their capability and willingness to partner. And if you can tell them where that would be on that site, that would be great.
Sure, yeah. So on the Defense Innovation Network, we have an area called the Small Business Portfolio. That's innovatedefense.net/small business portfolio. And on there, you'll see there are hundreds of companies that have posted about themselves. Essentially what they've done here is we've broken it up by different portfolios. So for instance, there's an artificial intelligence portfolio, all this kind of stuff. Basically, what you can do is you can poke around in here and you can really connect with these companies in a hurry on the site itself. You can view their cards, and then you can either comment or you can send them a direct message on the site. Additionally, a lot of these companies have posted their contact information. So if you go on there, you'll be able to, if you can find someone that is of interest to you, you can very easily connect with them.
And then to follow that up, someone asked how they get on the list if they are a potential partner. So how, if they're one, there is a list people can look at, but two, if you're one of those people, how can you get onto that list?
How are you asking how, as a company, they would be able to post about themselves here?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. So it's actually pretty simple to do, very similar to the way the challenge is set up. Pretty much just about anybody can go on here and submit about themselves. At this point, the site is a little bit limited in terms of outside the US companies posting. That being said, if you message me directly, if you have any trouble, I can talk to our points of contact for that area of the website and see how they are, if they're okay with you all posting as well.
Thank you, Chris.
David, there's another question out here is asking, can you elaborate on the molecular sensor aspect of ileocine?
You can find information related to helicines in the literature, but that's not really part of the discussion regarding the synthesis of the precursor. So I have to kind of venture away from answering questions on that. Sorry.
And there's a question here, and I think is critical because of the pandemic. With many labs shut down due to the COVID-19 response, what is the maximum permitted delay if an award is made? What I can say at this point is we're actively monitoring the lockdowns and restrictions across the country and the impacts it's having on universities and commercial partners. We're hoping for an award sometime later in the summer, and hoping by then people would have gotten back to at least some routine, not back to normal, but at least some routine. So we might delay based on the situation, the release of the award. And those things are going to be outside of our control. But we're hoping based on the progression and what we're seeing from the models, it looks like by summertime we should be having a little bit more, the restrictions lifted a little bit. Over.
There's another question here for Chris. When white papers are submitted on the website, the approach will be seen by all participants. Is that correct?
That is correct. Everything is visible to everyone who has access to the area of the site. Like I said, that being, the way we've gotten around that in the past with other challenges that are similar in nature is that people will post enough about their concept to really get the point across without giving away their secrets.
Similar to how patents are filed, where it gives a general overview of the capability, but it doesn't give away the secret sauce. Part of the reason for the transparency is we are encouraging people to partner and team up to leverage each other's strengths.
Another question, is being able to do our own scale up in manufacturing in the US an advantage?
Ultimately, for the application and regarding aerospace composite materials, I would say yes. In terms of supply chain and maintaining a source in the United States.
Another question was, how do we get on the list as a potential partner for production? I think Chris elaborated, there's a place to put that on the website. If you're having any trouble with any of this, you can either directly contact Chris himself or me, and we'll make sure that you get on there. If it gets to any one of us, we will provide that information back to the website. Jill, did you see any other questions? I'm going to go scan back through again.
If anybody has any additional questions that we missed, type them again or
So we have, are there restrictions to different nationalities working on the project if it's awarded?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, I agree. Is there a template for the white paper?
Well, we don't have one yet. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, we want it to be open so that people can submit their ideas in the best way that they want to be able to present them to the evaluation team.
Yep. Okay, I have, is this completely separate from SIBRs, and can the same proposal be submitted to both?
Yeah, this is not a SIBR.
Right.
You can submit to an open topic if you want, but this challenge is specifically for this purpose, and there will be opportunities for follow-on work with SIBR if you qualify.
Thank you. Is there any target cost versus actual cost per gram?
So the only guidance I have on target cost, because I'm not familiar with the absolutes of the manufacturer's, synthesis of PEPA, but I would use, I think there are at least 5 or 6 sources of PEPA, commercial sources, and use that as guidance for actual cost. In regards to the target molecule B, you would have to come up with sort of a grassroots cost just to synthesize that molecule, and that's fine since it's not commercially available and we don't have a cost comparison to compare to.
I would like to emphasize that cost isn't necessarily the only consideration for improved value. If you can create a better purity, if you can get rid of some of the heavy metals in the manufacturing process, all of those are of importance to the Air Force and could be highlighted as a value proposition.
Right. There's definitely a cost performance trade-off there. Yep.
And then can there be a downloadable version of the solicitation on the resources tab?
Chris.
Yeah, no problem there. We can post many resources on there for you all. And I think Bob and Sean and the rest, we will all circle up following this meeting and determine just exactly what you all need on that resources tab.
Okay.
We already answered the Helicene question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jill. I think you got on the same question there.
I was going to say, in connection with possible future challenges, apart from molecules A and B, are there other monomers for thermostats of interest in the works we can start focusing on?
Not at this time that I'm aware of.
No. I mean, is there interest for other thermostats like epoxies? Absolutely, but not part of this challenge or part of the 3 challenge questions that we have, right? In regards to helicenes, since this is a public forum, anyone who has further questions in that space, we could take that offline in a more controlled environment if we can. So they can email me
Talk to
directly.
David, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess in regards to that, other areas of interest, if you have a capability that you think would be of value or interest to the Air Force, there are open topics for SIBR that you could apply for. Not seeing any more questions.
Yeah, I didn't see any more questions. So, hold on a second. Actually,
So it's a question
there's
for
just one. Yeah.
Okay, so it says, Chris, in my experience with biosynthetic route selection, sorry, I can't read that. The challenge is the approach is the white space to capture IP. So I am struggling with seeing how the biosynthetic approach is shared publicly on the website during submittal and still showing the panelist uniqueness of the approach. So somebody is struggling to understand why it's open for other people to see. Again, I would liken it to when you file a patent, you describe your overall capability, but you don't give away the secret to how you have that capability. And in giving the overview of that capability, it allows other people that are interested in teaming and partnering to see that you have a strength where maybe they have a weakness and they have a strength where you have a weakness, and they can approach you about partnering. Does that help answer that question?
I also would like to mention that once you get to past the white paper stage, there's going to be probably about maybe 5 to 6 white papers that are going to be selected. At that point, you'll be given an individual pitch that will not be seen by everybody, but that will be directly to the panelists at that time. So you could actually uncover even more about what you want to do, but keep any proprietary information hidden.
Yep. Yeah, you can talk about your capability without revealing any proprietary information.
Yeah, just reiterating, the final pitches will be only you and your team directly to the review panel.
Bob, there's another question. Can the white paper be updated after initial submission before the deadline?
Yes, so our site does allow for editing. After you submit, if you open your submission, on the far left of the page, you'll see a few buttons, including edit and delete. And if you do want to edit your submission, you can go ahead and click edit and change whatever you need to.
Jill, do you see any other questions that we may have missed?
I just got, can we get the decks put up today? The technical details presented there are critical.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. I'm not seeing any in either the chat or the question and answer at this point.
Okay, with that, I just wanted to tell you that if after this session you think of a question that you'd like to have that just pops into your mind later, just send it to one of us, preferably to me or to Jill or Chris, and we will make sure that that question is posted on the website and the answer to the question will be there. I think, well, Chris's contact information is on the site. Everybody should have gotten an email from me, and my contact information is on that email. The final thing is that we'll be posting all of these things after the meeting. And so I think there's contact information for David in that.
So Bob, if there are no questions, I think we can wrap up. What I would like to say is thank you all 100-odd participants for attending today. We're looking forward to getting your input and looking to see some innovative ideas on how you can solve some of those challenges. There were a couple of questions on, what are the other challenges going to be on. You will hear about those challenges in due course. Each of those challenges, I can say at this point, is different, but they're all centered around biotechnology and synthetic biology or engineering biology. With that, I'm signing out, and thank you all for your participation. Anything else, Bob, or the rest of the panel members to add?
No, I think that also I'm going to try to capture a recording of this whole session, and hopefully we can kind of post that up on the website also. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.